Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. As we record here on Friday, September 26th, we have a wild weekend ahead of us involving Major League Baseball and the playoff race. But first, Braeden, I like to give credit where credit is due. I think it was right after the All-Star break. The Guardians weren't looking too hot. They were on like a 10-game losing streak. Um, and you said, I think as a hot take, you're like, I think the Guardians are going to sneak into the playoffs. And I kind of laughed in your face. I'm like, no way they do this. Like they were almost sellers at the deadline, but they didn't really make any moves. They got rid of Bieber. They got rid of Seawald, right? But they didn't really make moves to put themselves over the edge. And I kind of laughed at you. And next thing you know, the Guardians go on an insane September run because they were out of it kind of still like in August.
We're out of it.
They were like, okay, well, they're kind of good, but still kind of out of it. And then these past couple weeks here, they just go on a surge. I think they went on they won like 14 out of 15 games at one point in September, something like that. And next thing you know, the Guardians and Tigers have the same record in the AL Central. Guardians hold a tiebreaker, I believe, over the Tigers if they were to tie. But just insanity all around in Cleveland and Braeden. I just got to give you credit that you kind of. I know you said you didn't really expect them to win the division, but you did call them to make the playoffs, which is impressive in itself. But yeah, Brad, give me your rundown on the Guardians and what made you like know that this team was like had a real shot, because I don't think anyone else really did.
For one, I didn't know, right? The two things I kind of looked at was their schedule was super light, especially when it got to September. So I was like, yeah, like they could totally just play like this for the rest of the year and, finish, a few games back of the wild card, and we're not even really talking about them. But I looked at their schedule and I also looked at their track record. Like they're good like every year, right? They're not a team
Yeah,
that you can ever count out. I mean, they were in the ALCS last year. I don't have the previous year's numbers up, but like they feel like a team that, Jose Ramirez, Stephen Kwan, like they do this. Like they don't miss the postseason very often. So I'm looking at, who was in it, and I was like, well, like, yeah, Detroit's got a massive lead. And at the time I still expected Detroit to win it. I picked Detroit to win it, right?
mm-hmm.
But I was like, do I trust the Rangers? Like, not entirely. Like, I didn't know if I trusted the Yankees. You know what I mean? But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, Cleveland does this. Like, Cleveland's a team that, granted, the division is not great. So I accounted for, okay, if you can go and beat Kansas City and the White Sox and the Twins, like, you're going to win a decent amount of games right there.
Right.
And I was like, if you just take care of business against the other people or the other teams, like you're gonna have a shot. And here they are, and they're leading the Central. They're tied with
Yeah.
Detroit, but they got the tiebreaker last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, props to them. I mean, you can give me credit all you want, but they're the ones who, since September started, they've lost 6 games,
It's crazy.
and they lost on September 1st and September 2nd. So and September 4th. So really, since September 4th, they've only lost 3 games.
It's pretty good.
Which
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And there's a streak in there. Go ahead.
I think they were down. I think the number was like 14 or 15 games in the
Yeah.
division. And now they're tied. And if they were to win the division, to be the greatest division deficit overcome ever in the history of baseball, which is
Yeah.
which is pretty impressive. If you think it would happen like at least once or twice, given the over 100 years seasons of baseball, right? But it hasn't happened. And yeah, the Guardians they're really, no one really wants to play them right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And they are a team who, you know, in September alone, they have a 6 game lose or 6 game win streak, excuse me, and then a loss, and then a 10 game win streak, and then a loss. And then they took 2 out of 3 in Detroit. So they're a team
Yeah,
who,
it's
they
pretty
won
good.
10 in a row.
Yeah,
Granted, Kansas City, Chicago, Detroit roped in there, and the
yeah,
Twins. So like I said earlier, it counts for a lot of division right
yeah.
there.
10 in a row is
Um,
10 in a row, no matter who you
10
play,
in a
right?
row is 10 in a row. That's a lot of quality baseball to play
Mm-hmm.
over a 2 week
Yeah.
span.
And
So,
it's not like the
um,
Royals were like kind of in it for a while too. Like it wasn't like they were completely out of it, so they were playing for something. Um, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, the Royals were just eliminated, what, like 2, 3 nights ago, maybe.
yeah.
So,
Um, Yeah, but props to the Guardians there. What a run they've had. Brady, do you want to get into the Tigers a little bit? Because the comeback doesn't happen without the collapse of Detroit. They were rolling for April, May, June, like all season, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
September rolls around, and they kind of like I hate to use the word collapse, but like that's kind of what it's been. Like they haven't gone on any win streaks. They're 2-8 in their last 10, and I think it was literally complete opposite of what the Guardians were going through. The Tigers were just going through a huge slump. Um,
Yeah.
but it just to everyone's shock, I think me and you even said like the Tigers had the division locked up like in like July, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, they don't have a division lead anymore. It's just overall crazy race, and I just think I don't know. It just makes I think it's really good for baseball. I think it made it really fun to follow because no one really follows these central teams all that closely, right? But it
Yeah.
makes it really fun to watch and follow. And we're still got 3 games left, so anything could happen here this last weekend.
Yeah. So I just looked at this, right? You know how I said the Guardians have only lost 6 games in the month of September?
Yeah,
Guess how many games the Tigers have won in the month of September?
I'm gonna say it's like flipped. So they probably only won like 5. So I'm gonna say like they lost 18.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah. I don't have the exact number of losses,
Oh,
but they've got, I mean, I can count quick. I may have said that wrong, but they have one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16.
all right.
So they must have had
Close.
a couple off days in there, but they've only won 6 games, right? So literally the month of September, these two teams flip flop because the
Right.
Guardians decided to only lose 6 and the Tigers decided to only win 6. And
Yeah.
that's how we're at. They
Yeah.
have the same exact record, right?
And
Um,
and we always joke that
but
the season should be shorter, but this is why it's so long because a lot of baseball and anything could happen, especially in September. So there's nothing like it.
I mean,
It's fun to watch.
yeah, I mean, you think a 15 and a half game lead, you're like,
15 and a half is
you'd
crazy.
have to really screw this up, and
Yeah.
they've kind of done it. Their only series win in the month of September is against our Yanks in the Bronx.
Of course.
Of course,
The
of course.
Tigers have had our number this year, it seems like. I think they took
Yeah,
4-2. It's like 4-2 series, I want to say. Because
yeah,
they won Detroit in the beginning of the year when it was like snowing.
yeah. Yep,
And then
remember that. Yep.
they took care of business a couple weeks ago. All right. But yeah, just overall fun to watch. And yeah, Brandon, that's all I gotta say. I think um it's crazy. It's what it is. Kind of one of the most chaotic end of seasons I can remember, right? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
As
but
far as like,
you
and
can't
we
count
might,
anyone out though, because I think in 2023 the Rangers had the AL West and then lost like a bunch in September. Astros came
yeah,
back, took first place, but then the Rangers ended up winning in the
the
World
World
Series,
Series
obviously. So it's
and
like
beat the Astros.
anything could
You never
happen, but
know.
it's just fun to follow. Yeah. You never know.
For sure, for sure. And I mean, I think, just shifting gears a little bit, and we don't need to talk too much on it, right? But another crazy race is Toronto, New York. All of a sudden, right? The Blue Jays, who another team that, probably a week ago or maybe even a little bit farther than that, we were like, yeah, they
Yeah.
got it. Like
Mm-hmm.
they should have it. But then we were saying like Yanks got the White Sox twice, they got the Orioles twice, they got Minnesota. Like we were like, okay, like there's a chance here, and all
Just
of a
take care of
sudden we're in the
business. Yeah.
last weekend, and both those teams are tied. And the Blue Jays have
Yeah.
have the tiebreaker, right? But the Yanks are there, and
Yeah.
you can't count out Boston either. I know that they're going to only have a shot at the wild card at this point. They're basically locked for that. They only have to win one, but you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
they were there too. So
Let's talk about the AL a little bit. Like, so it's basically between, like we said, the Red Sox, Tigers, Guardians, and Astros for the last 2 spots or 3 spots.
yeah,
3 spots,
correct. Yep.
right? Astros are on the outside looking in. Braden, do you think this is going to shift up at all? I think the Astros, you said, are playing in Anaheim. Red Sox play
Yeah.
the Tigers, and then the Guardians go to who are they playing?
The Guardians are hosting Texas.
Oh yeah, you said that. Guardians are hosting Texas. So do you think it's going to stay this way with the Astros first team out, or do you think it's going to shift a little bit and Guardians, Tigers, or Red Sox would be out.
Honestly, man, I don't know because you asked me this question last week and I said it's probably going to stay the same. And here we are. And the Guardians are leading the AL Central all of a sudden.
Yeah.
If you made me ask, I would say probably the Astros missed just because they haven't been playing great as of late.
Yeah.
They
Neither
lost
the
two out of
Tigers, though.
three.
And the Tigers are
Neither
playing
of the
in Fenway.
Tigers.
Yeah.
Neither of the Tigers. The Tigers have the tiebreaker though, which is key. Um,
Okay.
so the Astros are a game behind Detroit, right? They have 85 wins. Detroit has 86 wins, right? So they would need to leapfrog them. But like hypothetically, like the Astros could sweep the Angels and still miss this weekend, right? Because
Yeah.
if Detroit handles business and Cleveland handles business, Boston only needs to win one,
Right.
right? And Houston needs to basically get 2 games on Detroit or Cleveland. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I mean, I think it's going to be tough for Houston. Anything can happen, though. To me, Boston's a lock. And then, I mean, the Guardians are at home against Texas. They're going to win at least a game in that series. I cannot imagine they don't.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be in. And Detroit in Fenway, like Boston might not be playing for anything. You know, they might be locked into that 5th seed
Mm-hmm.
come Sunday or even tomorrow, right? So they might, play it easy while they prepare for the wild card and scout for that. So
Yeah.
Detroit might be able to take one there and then get in. The cards are just stacked against Houston. They would need a lot to go right. Even if they do sweep, they would need those other teams to kind of, have a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we'll probably have a better idea even if a couple hours after the first game of after these Friday games end up here. But yeah, just the pesky Guardians. There's a team that you don't want to play right now. The way they win games is just they don't really use the long ball all that much, but they do when they have to, right?
yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend to watch. All right, Brady, do you want to shift over to the NL side of things?
Yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, I agree with you. If I had to pick one team, just because the Astros are on the outside looking in, they need a lot to go right. And as a Yankees fan, we don't really want to see them in the playoffs. So yeah,
It's purely the
the Astros.
tiebreaker for
Yeah.
me.
But then yeah,
right?
anything could happen. Like we've learned this. I think if we learned anything this season, this month of September, it's that anything could happen. It's not over till it's over. But
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
who's going to play well this weekend? That's who gets
yeah.
in, right?
Yep.
If you play bad this weekend, you're not getting in probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then our Yanks a little bit. Just need basically have to sweep. I think they have to sweep this weekend to have a chance, and hope the Blue Jays lose one. But we'll see. All right, yeah, let's go over to the NL side. NL side, when it comes to that last wild card spot, it's been pretty interesting because the Reds held it going into Tuesday, right? And then they kind of blew it against Pittsburgh at home. The Diamondbacks were there, but we said last episode, like their schedules is so tough. It's going to be really, really tough for them to leapfrog the Reds and the Mets. And then the Mets kind of have been taking care of business here. They were in a huge slump for a while, but took 2 or 3 in Chicago. And they're going to Miami, which is going to be an easy win, but you would think the cards are in the Mets' favor at this point as we head into the weekend here.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that is going against the Mets right now is they don't have the tiebreaker against anybody, right? So right now they're a game ahead of the Reds and they're 2 games ahead of the Diamondbacks. If they have a disaster of a weekend, they can't rely on beating them earlier in the season. You know what I mean? So yes, they probably have it, but like if you win tonight, like it makes a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
At the moment, if you lose tonight and the Reds and the Diamondbacks pull it off, both on the road, you're gonna have a massive conversation going on about what's gonna happen here. Because then the Mets are gonna have their backs against the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was gonna say if the Mets do end up blowing this, they definitely don't deserve to be in. It's the ball's in their court right now, right? They have the advantage. They have probably the weakest of the 3 teams that the Mets, Reds, and D-backs are playing. I know it's in Miami, who aren't playing awful.
No. It's not taking anything away from Miami at all.
Yeah. But like you said, I do think the Mets play better when their backs against the wall. Like this series against Chicago in Wrigley was must-win series, right? And they got kind of go out there and take care of business pretty handily. And then we've seen it last year. Like it's almost like they like the pressure Not that
Yeah.
they like it, but they play better when it's do or die. You saw in the playoffs
Yeah.
last year. But yeah, I think the Mets. We said this a couple weeks ago. I didn't think it'd come down this close. Like I think in last episode, a couple episodes ago, we're like, oh, the Mets are fine. They're going to take care of business. But they were out of the wild card spot going into the Tuesday slate. But
Yeah.
the Reds couldn't take care of business against the Pirates. And I'm still looking back, Braeden, because you said the Guardians were going to make the playoffs. I said the Reds were going to be my hot take to make the playoffs. But um, but the Reds, I'm looking back at that Sacramento A's series where they got swept. I know the A's have a great offense, but you think that the Reds were playing for a lot more, had good pitching lined up for that series too, but they couldn't even win one. And just looking back, like if they would have won one of those games, they would be
How
controlling their
different
own
would this
destiny.
conversation be?
Yeah, they would
How
be
different this
controlling their own
conversation would be if
destiny.
they would have won one.
Yep. Um, but yeah, they and then they go come back to Pittsburgh or come back home against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh takes 2 out of 3. One of them was a skiing stay. I get it, but I think game 2 that was a gut punch because they had a chance to win a couple times there. They couldn't finish the deal.
Yep.
But yeah, they took Cabrera's game 3. Noel Marte, great catch, great game saving catch. But yeah, I just as much as I wish it was either the Reds or the D-backs, like I think the Mets would really, really, really have to blow this for the Reds and D-backs to have a chance. Just because of look at who the Reds and D-backs are playing. Like, Reds got to go to Milwaukee. D-backs got to play San Diego 2 games out. Like, it's tough. Like we said.
Yeah, I mean the only thing, like I said, the Mets don't have the tiebreaker, and the other thing is the Reds are playing the Brewers. So I think if the Brewers go out there and win tonight, they're gonna be locked in to the one, like to the 1 seed in Indiana. I'm pretty sure, right? Because they are right there. The Phillies are 94 and the Brewers are 96. Yeah. So if they win tonight and they hold the tiebreaker, they're going to be locked into that 1 seed, right? Are the Brewers going to, I'm not going to say punt Saturday and Sunday because I'm sure they'd love to end the Red season and they don't want to just go cold right before the playoffs. You don't necessarily know what they're going to do, right? So that might open the door for the Reds. But of course, that requires the Brewers winning a game, and that means the Reds lose a game. So, and it's the same thing with the Padres and the Diamondbacks. We know that the Padres are going to play the Cubs next week. It's just a matter of who's going to host, right? I think if the Cubs win tonight, I think it's over. I think that Padres are going to San Diego. So then what is San Diego going to do over the weekend? They're playing the Diamondbacks. Are they going to do a similar thing where it's like, well, we know we're going to the Cubs. We know who we need to scout. Let's do bullpen days or something for the rest of the series because it doesn't really matter. And we wouldn't even be on the side of the Diamondbacks bracket anyway. So it wouldn't really necessarily come back to bite us. So who knows, right? But like you said, the Mets would really, really, really have to implode on themselves, I guess, again, because they've done this before. I mean, we were talking a few months ago about maybe they could win the East, but obviously that's out of the equation. But if you're a bet man, you probably say Mets. But if anything that you've seen in the last week has shown you anything, it's that this is unpredictable. So that's where I would say. If you want to bet, probably bet Mets. But, the odds aren't that great simply because of what we've seen the last, 7 to 10 days. So,
man, I'm mad at the D-backs, dude. Like, I just think they have such a good roster. They just don't know how to. I think it's their bullpen. It's been their bullpen for the past 2-3 years now. They have such a good offense. Corbin Carroll had a great season, and they're gonna miss the playoffs by probably 1 or 2 games for the second year in a row. Last year they missed by 1 game. This year they might miss by probably end up missed by 1 or 2. But yeah, if I had to choose, obviously I'd like to see the Mets out. Not that I have a hatred toward the Mets, but like I think it'd be cool to see the D-backs or the Reds kind of in it. But like you can't complain about the Mets either. The Mets would be going to L.A.
Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers, whoever wins,
which would be fun. I don't think the Reds would have a chance against the Dodgers. I think the Mets would. I think the D-backs would also.
So would I. So would I.
But But I think I don't know. I think with the Mets, the way they play with their backs against the wall, 2 or 3 wild card, I do not like that. I don't love that if I'm a Dodgers fan. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
And the
well, we're
thing
not gonna.
that
I don't
makes
want
it
to speak too soon for the Mets. We'll wait. We'll wait to see how the weekend plays out. But
we'll wait and see. I mean, like I said, if anything has, you know, if this last week has shown you anything, it's that this gets wild very quickly.
yeah,
All it takes is the
one bad
Brewers and the
inning.
Diamondbacks to win tonight
Yeah.
and the Mets to lose tonight, right?
Yep.
And the Mets are still like in a decent spot, but all of a sudden,
Yep.
you know
No,
what I
I
mean?
agree.
Like you lose those tiebreakers
Yeah. It
for
could be
both those teams.
one bad inning could change your whole season these days. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. And I agree with you 100% that, if you're a Dodgers fan, right? They haven't played probably to the level. I mean, they're still going to go out there. What are they at? 90 wins?
yeah, 90.
Yeah, they're at 90 right on the dot. I mean, people were talking about, they might go out there and win 105 games this year. So, I mean, they still had a great year, but probably to what people thought, like it's probably a little bit under their expectation. And obviously we've said that they're a juggernaut and that they'll probably figure it out in October. But besides last year, go back to the year prior and the year before that, and the Dodgers were notorious for hosting that wild card series and screwing it up. I mean, 2 years ago, the Diamondbacks went in there, same kind of story where they just get into the postseason, right? Oh wait, no, that wasn't the wild card for the Dodgers. But besides the point, right?
This
The Dodgers were
yeah,
hosting
same
that.
point.
It was the DS, but anything can happen, and especially when you've seen a team over and over again, like the Dodgers and the Snakes have. I mean, this past week they played each other, and besides yesterday, like those games were competitive, like late in the game, right? Yesterday they got blown out pretty much, but the game
Yeah.
before the Dodgers were up and the Diamondbacks came back.
Yeah. Came
Um,
back and then they had a chance to win the 10th and the
and they
11th.
had a chance,
Yeah.
but then they ended up losing it. But my point in saying all of this is, you know, for the Dodgers, that's not a team you don't love that matchup. You're if you see the Reds, you're like, okay, like we should beat them. But the Diamondbacks, don't tell me the Diamondbacks aren't capable of going into to Dodger Stadium and taking 2 out of 3 if they need to, because
Yeah.
we've seen it before.
No,
They've done
I
it.
agree.
Pitching's
I'm
not
a
as
Dodgers
good,
fan.
but
Their offense is great. So,
yeah.
so it'd be fun
And
to
the Dodgers
watch.
bullpen has been questionable.
Yeah.
I know Sasaki came in the other day and was lights out in whatever
Apparently,
the night.
I'm hearing chatter that Sasaki's going to be like the closer, like actually in the playoffs.
I mean,
It'd get interesting.
that could
I
get
mean, I don't
very,
blame him. Who else would you go to?
yeah,
Braeden
100%.
struggling, and who's the other reliever? Trinan and uh, who's the other one? The other Dodgers.
Well, they don't have what's his name anymore.
Beeler.
I'm blanking on his name.
Beeler, right?
Oh,
Walker Bueller. He's on the Phillies.
oh yeah.
Who am I
Yeah, I
thinking
mean their
of?
pitchers are
Oh, Tanner Scott. Duh.
and Vesia. I guess he's a relief guy, but
Yeah.
their closers are.
Yeah.
It doesn't even say who their listed closer is.
Yeah. We got less than a minute here, Barry. Do you want to add anything else as we wrap up, or
No, I would say enjoy because this is going to be chaotic, and then next week's going to get chaotic too.
Yeah.
Because what we've seen.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we'll have to do episode Monday probably to preview the playoffs. So
We probably will have to do an episode Monday. And if you've been watching the past, 2 or maybe it's 3 years at this point where they've been doing this 3-game wild card, one of those road dogs does end up winning a series. So, don't just count on these home teams getting it done. At least one. Yeah. So buckle up because it's going to get wild.
Gonna be fun. All right. Thank you everyone for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how you think this weekend's going to play out. And thanks for watching. Go Yankees.
See you guys.